Share the live, please. I beg you, share the live. Right? Share the live. You know what I'm going to talk about now? We'll now speak for the next 40 minutes or so about the breaking news yesterday morning that the U.S. visa issued to Detective Senior Superintendent Michel Caesar, the second most senior man at CID headquarters after the Deputy Commissioner is Caesar, was revoked. Now, there are conflicting reports as to when the revocation was done. We're going to go part of that. Maybe we're not going to get time to go into all this afternoon, but I promise what we get to finish and cover today, we're going to bring it back so you can understand what it is. So here what broke yesterday morning. Senior police officer Michel Caesar had his United States visa revoked, a development that has intensified public scrutiny over an officer who has, for years, been linked to serious but unresolved allegations. The revocation of the senior cop's visa has revived questions surrounding his past. In 2022, he was at the center of public controversy following the fatal shooting of businessman Ricardo Fagundes outside Palm Court, an incident that triggered widespread concern and demands for accountability. Various allegations were leveled against Caesar at the time. No findings have been publicly released. Over the years, Caesar has also been accused, though never convicted, of corruption, bribery, and interference in criminal cases, including claims that charges were manipulated to the detriment of innocent people. He has further been linked by allegation to association with questionable figures. None of these claims has been fully ventilated in court or conclusively investigated in the public domain. As authorities in Guyana remain tight-lipped, the public is left to ask, why was a senior officer questioned abroad? Why was his visa revoked? And why has there been no official explanation? Sources confirm that Caesar was questioned by U.S. authorities in 2024 when he entered the United States while on vacation leave. The circumstances surrounding the question remains undisclosed. What is clear, however, is that Caesar's visa was hours ago revoked. That came out yesterday morning. That's the background. Now, as I said, there's a lot of questions. They have a lot of questions. But I want to put things into context and put some chronology into this thing. First of all, let me say this. I make some notes because I want to miss nothing, right? I say that I will continue to pray for all those who are part of my persecution, right? Be exposed. I tell you, they want to see me on my knees. All sort of chumped up charges, bringing you, cost you all an old set of money, which I don't have really. Me, I'm no rich man. The Guyanese critics say, oh, me broke and all sort of thing. Well, I broke, but I could find a meal or 3 meals when the day come, right? Because I ain't begging, I never beg, I never collect bribe. That is why I'm broke, right? That is why I'm a broke man according to the Guyanese critics, right? All right. Well, let me say this, right? And let me tell you all some Bible now. Matthew 22:21. Render to Caesar the things which are Caesar, and unto God the things which are God. Render to Caesar the things which are Caesar, and unto God the things which are God. You know, Caesar was the king or the ruler. And then when, according to what the Bible says, when they asked Jesus about paying taxes to Caesar, Jesus told them, render to Caesar the things that are Caesar, and to God the things that are God. Right? Surrender to Caesar. And let me say this, old people, don't forget old people. Old people say, moon a run till they catch him. Moon has run till they catch him. I know we have people who perhaps are not fully familiar with these Guyanese sayings and so on, but basically what old people said, the older folks, the wise old folks are saying that the moon is out there until the day comes, and then the moon is no more. The moon is caught by the day. moon a run till they catch up. They also said, right? Every day, bucket a go well. One day, the bottom gonna drop off. Y'all remember that? The older people, I'm sure, will know them sayings. Every day, bucket a go well. One day, the bottom gonna drop off. These are people who are so wise in their sayings. And then the last one, they say, right? They say a man can do as much as he like, but not as long as he like. Man can do as much as he like. Now, let me understand this thing clearly. For years, there have been allegations and rumors about Mitchell Caesar. And having said that, let me make it clear that the revocation of Caesar's visa does not mean that he, or any visa, as far as we know, that doesn't mean that he's guilty of anything. Let me put this out there, right? And I'm going to go through some of the allegations later. But the fact that a person's visa is revoked by the US or anywhere else, any other country, that in itself can mean that he is guilty of anything. They might be investigating. They might determine that this is a person we don't want in the country, and therefore the visa is revoked, right? So let me understand this thing clearly, right? Let me understand that, right? I said if the revocation is as a result of some crime committed, some alleged crime, or some investigation, then later on, or put it this way, the revocation by me, the beginning of a process. Because if it is United States, then we can expect that if it is as a result of the commission or the allegation of any crime, then we can expect indictments, grand jury sitting to indictment, seal or unseal or seal. And then we can express, as we have come to know now, that if there's an indictment, right, that we're talking about extradition. So all of these things, but again, the revocation of itself can mean much. All it means, you can't travel to the United States. That is what it means. There's no allegation as far as we know of any, well, there are allegations, but we don't know that the revocation is as a result of those allegations. Let me put it out there. Put it out there. All right. Some people say Slow and Conway are so fair. Eh? Some people say Slow and Conway are so fair. Because while people trying to hang Caesar over that, we are putting the facts out there and let the thing so we can see. Let me go on here to say, let's remember, right, that, and I have something here, is way back, I mean, they talk about when he was arrested. It is claimed that he was arrested and questioned in the US back in 2024, I think it was, or 2025, only last year. Let me play this tape, which is going to give you some context into this whole background. We're doing, here it is. It's about 3 minutes long. Listen carefully, and you'll get a better understanding where we are at. Here it goes.
The Guyana Police Force is seeking to gather information tonight under detention and questioning of head of the Major Crimes Unit of the Police Force, Superintendent Mitchell Caesar, recently by U.S. law enforcement agents. There are reports that Caesar, who was part of the Guyana Police Force contingent that participated in a training program in India, was detained and questioned by U.S. authorities during his stopover in the U.S. on his way to India and again on his return to the U.S. from India. While the Guyana Police Force has offered no information on the issue, Vice President Barra Jagdeo today said the matter is currently engaging the attention of the leadership of the Guyana Police Force. The Vice President said he has been informed that a senior officer has since submitted a report to his superiors in the Guyana Police Force.
The report, from what we gather, from what I gather, a report was made to the superior officer or the senior officer of that policeman. So that will engage the leadership of the police force, and that's where the matter will be dealt with.
Vice President Jagdeo said he is unclear as to what could have led to the detention of the senior police officer by the U.S. law enforcement agents. He said the U.S. is not likely to divulge information on the arrest or the line of questions posed to the police officer.
The United States of America will not tell us what their questions are, why they question people, because that's immigration matter. They don't, as a matter of policy, they don't release why visas are withdrawn or denied. So a lot of people have had visas withdrawn or denied, but they will not share that information that is they keep that information to themselves. If there is any criminality on the part of anyone in government, then once the information is shared with us formally by the US government, there'll be action taken against people. But we can't go on the basis of allegations and all of that.
However, Mr. Jagdeo assured that should the government be provided with verifiable information by the U.S. that a government official or police officer may be involved in some sort of criminal activity, such allegations will be investigated. Last April, the then permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs, May Toussaint Jr. Thomas, was arrested and interrogated for hours at a U.S. airport while she was heading to China. Her U.S. visa was later revoked while she was in China, forcing her to find another route back home to Guyana. She has since been transferred from the Ministry of Home Affairs and is now the permanent secretary of the Labor Ministry.
All right, so you got a little background. This report that you just heard is not the revocation yesterday. That was when he was arrested back, I think it was in March of 2024, right? The report was that Caesar, I think he was a superintendent at the time, traveling to, and some of the reports are saying on vacation, we understand under vacation, he was in transit to India on some government course or business when he was pulled in and questioned. And then on his way back, he was again pulled in and questioned. And I said then, and I'm repeating here for emphasis, that you have a senior police officer, I think at the time he was a superintendent of police, in charge of the major crime unit of the Guyana Police Force, is detained at the U.S. airport and questioned at the U.S. airport. And you saw what was the response of the vice president? Oh, the police is superior and deal with it. Government had no interest in knowing why a senior police officer, the head of what is considered a very sensitive unit, is questioned by the U.S. And the president said he submitted a report. Caesar was submitted a report to Superior. That is since 2024, 2024 March. A whole year passed and we didn't hear nothing more about it. A whole year and more passed. You hear nothing about the report, what the report is about. And then you asking Caesar to submit a report. What do you think he can tell you? What is he going to say? Have they made efforts to find out from the U.S. what concerns they might have had to pull in a senior police officer? They don't have to give the details necessarily. What concerns? Because clearly they had concerns why they questioned him at length. Clearly. And I told them then, y'all remember? I said, if I were in their position, when Caesar come to report to me, he got to come in a bare speedo, a bare buckta. And I am being Peace Ethnic Relation Commission. Don't think because I say Bokta, I am being ethnically insensitive. That is what we do, short, speedo. I grew up as a little boy, you don't know what brief and all them things. You call them Bokta. You get your Bokta. As a matter of fact, I can tell you this because somebody, not so couple of weeks ago, I think, reached out to me. Back in the day, I know how many of you can relate to this. But back in the day, the first Bokta I wore, you call them brief, call them shorts, was made by a lady from Triumph, in Triumph. A lady, she named Oranger. She used to sew Bokta for little boy. Also other fancy color Bokta. Then the first Bokta I wore. Not even buy out of no shop. I went to Miss Oranger at, what road is that? The Triumph Road. After the Ogun Street, the other road going east. She lived there, them Roberts and them thing. She used to sew Bokta, right? She used to sew Bokta. And that's how I get me Bokta. So that's what it means. I say you have to come with Speedo. Speedo, you have to come with no fancy thing. Tarzan, yes, Carlton. That's how we got to come. Because I said that if the U.S. authorities, the federal authorities, question him for such a long period, question him for such a long period, and then they'll send him, I had a suspicion, I would have suspected that maybe they're going to send him for planting and for come and for listen. So no, I don't allow you to come like that. I said so. Shave your head, come with your baby buckler, no shoe or nothing on. No, nothing. So you got to come. Well, let me see what's going to happen. And you know, somebody, them, in terms of buckler, yeah, commenting about Flowerbag. Flowerbag, I know about Flowerbag. Flowerbag is them big man, but used to look there, Langoti. Man, look, I make a going into the archives, say, Langoti, y'all know it's Langoti. Another thing that you used to buckler was them girls beret. You take the beret and you convert it into, I used to say beret. You convert the beret or the beret into buckler or to shorts. When it came to Flowerbag, it's them big man used to use Flowerbag for make not buckler. Used to call them Langoti, right? So y'all don't come with me funny with them thing them now, right? Now let me understand. Yeah, beret. Yeah. We report say beret. It's a take beret, huh? Yeah, but it's a beret, beret we used to call them for make buckler. Cause you ain't going in no shop as a little boy. Your parents ain't buy no shorts or brief and them thing for you. No, you got to go tubeless. You know what is that thing? Tubeless. You have to go tubeless, right? So coming back to this issue now. Come back to this issue with Caesar. Caesar arrested in the U.S. This is what was reported and questioned at length, sent back to Guyana. He was a superintendent then. He has been promoted in the interim to senior superintendent, and from all indication, the government never got information as to what was the concerns of the federal government which caused them to arrest this senior officer and question him. They weren't interested in that. Maybe given what has happened recently, maybe he was asked, and whatever he told them, they believe. Because you know the story with Susan Rodriguez, with all these allegations floating, the president said that he asked her about it, and he's satisfied with her explanation. So maybe that happened to with Caesar. They were asked why he was questioned, what he was questioned about, and they are satisfied. You don't have an explanation Caesar gave. So let me bring in CC. We got a lot more of a talk about this thing, lot more. Let me bring in CC. I don't want to dominate this button, even though the bowling lumpy, pumpy, and sweet. Let me bring in CC for him to comment on some aspect so far. Go ahead, my brother.
I'm going to contradict you a bit. Because the first two bucklers that I had, they were made of Flowerbag. Cousin Mary Shepherd made them. She was a seamstress. She made them and she called me and she gave me them 2 Flowerbag bucklers. Now back to Caesar. Here it is. Your senior investigator, head of the major crime, pulled in, and you're not concerned? Or as you mentioned, Paul, whatever you tell them, they accept, like Rodriguez told the president, and he accepted, It's mind-boggling. Senior investigator, the number 2 man in the CID, get pulled in, and then raising no concern. It should raise hell. It should really start shake up the whole damn place there at CID. But no, they just left it like that. They just left it like that. There need to be proper investigation, and don't accept things at face value or accept things that's circulating in the media like that. Here's it. Senior, pull in for questioning, and you don't do no proper investigation. You don't call him to board and find out what's going on, or whatever he tell you. You just accept that as gospel. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And I had an officer by the name of Squaddy Duncan. When he said unbelievable, I'm sure that them old police remember Squaddy. Squaddy would have broken up that unbelievable, and between the un and the believable, he would have inserted a certain word. Unbelievable. You would have inserted a certain word which starts with F. That Scotty would have that's what Scotty would have done. But let me go back to, because we're talking about, all right, yesterday, vehicle canceled or revoked. In 2024, I think it was, we said, we're arrested at the US and questioned at length. Now, let me go further back. I'm going back now to 2016. 2016, Guyana Times, that PPP mouthpiece, 2016. It says, cop at center of corruption allegation breaks silence. The cop at the center of corruption allegation breaks silence. And what it says, quote, I don't understand why these allegations are being made against me. I live a normal life. I don't live a life to shout about. Me and my wife work very hard for what we have, end of quote. Says Assistant Superintendent of Police Mitchell Caesar in response to corruption allegations being leveled against him. 2016, remember, 2016. He was an assistant superintendent then. In defending himself, the ASP told this newspaper, Guyana Times, on Wednesday that he is very hurt by the allegations being made against him, considering the sacrifices he has made over the years as a dedicated officer of the force. He said that the allegations have shocked him, explaining that everything which he owns has been made possible through loans taken from the banks. Quite recently, television journalist Travis Chase has declared that he had recordings of alleged wrongdoings by Assistant Superintendent Caesar. On Monday, at a press conference, a top official of the People's Progressive Party, PPP, also made similar claims. Let me read that back. That is worth reading again. This is Guyana Times, back on March the 4th, 2016. Here it says, quite recently, television journalist Travis Chase had declared that he had recordings of an alleged wrongdoing by Assistant Superintendent Caesar. On Monday, at a press conference, a top officials of the People's Progressive Party, PPPC, also made a similar claim, or also made similar claims. When asked to comment on the allegations against him, the ASP stated that if either Chase or the PPP has evidence which they claim to have to support these allegations of his wrongdoing, then they should come forward, since he has nothing to be fearful of. When questioned as to why the television journalist would target him in this regard, the officer stated that some time ago, Chase was involved in a police matter, and E. Caesar was the rank tasked with instituting charges against him. I don't know why, quote, I don't know why he would say that, or if perhaps he still has a grudge, but my family is being affected, and it is not easy to deal with, end of quote, he said. He added that he is in the process of consulting his lawyer with the aim of filing a lawsuit. Back in 2016, remind you, 2016. Meanwhile, the PPP and Chase were recently questioned by the police in relation to an investigation into accusation being leveled against the officer. According to the police statement issued recently, after reports began surfacing alleging corruption against one of his ranks of the Office of Professional Responsibility, visited Freedom House Monday to question PPPC members on their knowledge of the situation. This newspaper understands that the party executive secretary, Zulfikar Mustafa, whom they met personally, and General Secretary Clement Roy, through his secretary, were interviewed, and they both indicated that they had nothing of evidential value to offer. This is despite the fact that the party had beforehand released a statement claiming to have knowledge of the existence of an audio and video recording implicating the police officer. Additionally, when the issue first arose through the television broadcast on Channel 67, the news reporter was also interviewed, but he too stated that he had no evidence to provide to the police. Right? And then they go on and go on. But I'm saying this to give you some background. This is not no allegations being made. The PPP back in 2016 made allegations against Caesar. Roy was the general secretary. Mustafa, they said, had some role. And when the police went to them, then provide the evidence. This is not a now story. This is not a now story. Now let me go in because time catching up. I'll tell you how we gonna come back. This ain't done in, so you know. When we come into this thing, no done as you like. No done as you like, right? Let me go on to tell you. You remember back in 2017, I thought that article that I read just now is 2016. Back in 2017, when there was the commission of inquiry into the alleged plot to assassinate President David Granger, I, Paul Esmond Slow, conducted that commission of inquiry. I conducted the inquiry. And at the end of the inquiry, right, recommendations were made, which resulted in the removal of Blanham as crime chief, Caesar as the man. I'll get some of them. Blanham, Caesar, Premnerine, Stevens, Laundrie, Pitama. These are all detectives who were removed from the CID and the major crime unit because of glaring unprofessional conduct in the course of that investigation. If you recall, the person, the suspect, was said to be the brother of a close associate of Commissioner Silal Prasad. I know everybody should have read that report by now. And if you have not, you know, I like to share this thing. This is public. I get copies, electronic copies. So if you have not read that report, hit me up and I'll send it to y'all, man. Right? They were all removed following the recommendation of the CI. Right? Leslie James, I think, was the commissioner then. Blanham, they sent it to Region 1, they sent it elsewhere. Caesar, I think, went to a division. I remember at one time he was at Kitty Police Station or Alberton, somewhere. They were all removed. All removed. And following the return to office of the PPP in 2020, they were all returned to the CID. All returned to the CID in 2020 when the PPP returned to office. All returned to the CID. There's record. The records are there. They were all returned to the CID. Right? Now, so understand this, you know, understand the whole background to this thing. Now, let me go on to tell you, and don't forget that back in, what was the year, when they had this issue with Dion Bascom, Sergeant Bascom. Y'all remember the matter with Dion Bascom broke? Where Sergeant Dion Bascom, who was at the CID headquarters, made one of the most damning allegations. He alleged that the thing went viral. He alleged that Azuddin Mohammed, the man with the licking down and killing and running, to get extradited and all this type of thing. They want to call meeting. Dion Bascom alleged that Azuddin Mohammed paid Mitchell Caesar, the head of the major crime unit, $30 million to cover up the Paper Shards murder. The thing out there, you know, the thing was out there. And I got the tapes and things still. That is what Bascom alleged. Right? And what happened? They went viciously after Bascom. Right? Of course, they deny. They went viciously after Bascom. And then, if you remember too, they wrote Bascom a letter. Bascom was sent a lawyer's letter. And the strange thing in that is that the same lawyer who was representing Azuddin Mohammed was the same lawyer who wrote on behalf of Caesar, threatening legal action against Sergeant Bascom. And what was the government's reaction to that? What was the president's reaction? When attorney at law Nigel Hughes, who was representing Dion Bascom, wrote to the president seeking protection for Bascom, who was deemed a whistleblower, and said under the protective disclosure legislation otherwise known as the whistleblower legislation, Boscom should be offered protection. They brush it aside. I remember that well, and I'm not referring to any notes. Those things are indelibly imprinted in my memory. Thank Lord, I still got good memory. The president was leaving the country, and he was asked about it, this letter that Mr. Hughes sent to him. He said he had not seen it. He had not seen the letter and gave the impression that when he returned from wherever he was going, he's going to look at, up to now, right? They meant to nothing. What did they do? They went after Boscom. Cybercrime charges with Caesar as one of the virtual complainant. Chabinat Singh as another virtual complainant. They tried to get another officer to be a virtual complainant. He refused to sign, and because he said he wasn't offended by the statement, and he was removed. And later he was removed from CID headquarters, right? He was removed, this other officer. I get all the details and all in it, right? So the allegation was made about Caesar's involvement. And if you all remember, shortly after the allegation made, where they had alleged, Boscom was alleged that one Mark Richmond was a man in this thing, right? And then Boscom too claimed that Mark Richmond, when some gold was stolen or something from somewhere in Kitty, and they were looking for this gold, Mark Richmond, a man who had been alleged and who they had never held and questioned, turned up at CID headquarters with a car for them to use to pursue the alleged perpetrators of this robbery. All of that is there. All of that is there. So they come. And let me go on to say, let me say this part, because it is unclear. Let me come closer to today. So it is unclear as to what actually transpired as it relates to the revocation of this visa. It is unclear. Why do I say that? I read to you where they say that the visa was canceled. There are reports that when he entered, the suggestion is that when he entered the US, he then learned they canceled the visa and said, "I ship you back on the next plane." That is what a report said. He and his wife attempted to enter the US and they sent him back. But I'm saying this: if that is the case, why they did not turn out the critic and DPI and all of them for this welcome, like how they did with Odessa Primus. Remember, Odessa turned up in New York, I think it was, and then they gave her the option to withdraw or permission to enter, which she chose, because either she do that or they're going to cancel it, or they're going to deport you, something like that. But she chose to go back. And when she arrived at Timeri, Chedijagan International Timeri, the whole government media, core, all of them were there to meet her. They were all there to meet her. So I don't know how they will give Caesar the same type of courtesy to reach him on his return. That is providing he was turned back. There's one version. There's another version which suggests that he never traveled. Let me read that. I got to put all of these things in perspective, you know. Y'all continue to share, man. We there were 2,600 and something. Y'all continue to share. We want to get to 3,000. Continue to share. We got about 15 minutes more. We can get to 3,000. Y'all share. Now, this came out yesterday morning. Hear what this is saying. This is another post on social media. So I'm giving you all of this so that you could understand that, look, the circumstances which resulted surrounding this thing are not all that clear. Not clear. To me, not clear. I saw something which says a senior police officer sanctioned over links. Hear what it says. Senior police officer sanctioned over links to Azzuddin Mohammed. It says Senior Superintendent of Police and head of the Major Crimes Unit, Mitchell Caesar, had his United States visa revoked over his links to Azzuddin Mohammed and his role in covering up and facilitating his crimes. Caesar and his wife were booked to travel to Miami on American Airlines Flight 1512 at 7:30 this morning, like yesterday morning. But he did not show up after being alerted by a police source. Let me read that back. He said Caesar and his wife were booked to travel to Miami on American Airlines Flight 1512 at 7:30 this morning, that's yesterday morning, but he did not show up after being alerted by a police source. Caesar and Azzuddin Mohammed have a long-standing association which has seen him receive millions of dollars in bribes to cover up crimes committed by the Mohammed family, dating as far back as 2013, dating as far back as the 2013 murder of Ryan Prasad. More recently, he was paid by Azzuddin Mohammed to cover up the Paper Sharks murder. He also manufactured false statements and inserted them into the police file that was presented to CARICOM Regional Security System investigators, who conducted a review of the initial investigation carried out under his supervision after Police Sergeant Dian Bascom went public with allegations that Caesar was paid off by Mohammed to conceal his involvement in the murder. These are all allegations there, and that's what we're saying. Any responsible government would have caused a credible investigation to be done. Somebody asking where is Bascom today? Bascom won the cases. The two are the cybercrime cases against him. One dismissed early, one he was convicted, he went to court and had that conviction overturned. And up to now, then reinstated him. He has not been reinstated. So he's still a police interdicted and maybe hustling to eke out a living someplace. So the thing is there. And then there's another version. Yeah, you share, man, another version which says, right, that, and this is a version, I think, from the Ghana Institute for Democracy or something like that, which is saying that some time ago, someone gave an affidavit to the feds in the US. They swore to an affidavit that Caesar, same Caesar, traveled to the US to try to employ a hitman, rather to kill Rickford Burke. Right? They say the man, and we got to release. I'll check out these things. Don't let these things fly past, because that is what they are hoping that the memory shall. It has been alleged that this man then reported the matter to Burke, and the matter was eventually reported to the feds. And this person was made to give an affidavit. Now, an affidavit is a sworn document, legal document, where the man outlined, according to the source, according to the document, outlined his interaction with Caesar, who was trying to procure him to kill this man. And the man said, get into that and all this type of thing. Right? Now, I'm a bit confused there. A bit confused. Because when I read about this affidavit and all this, and they say that this is an active investigation in the United States, and then it went on to say that Caesar traveled to the United States and was refused entry and turned back. I find something a little wrong there, because I am saying that if it is that the U.S. has this active investigation of Caesar trying to procure a person to kill someone in the United States, I find it hard to believe that they're going to just turn it back. I would have thought, if that is the case, and I could be wrong, they could be right, I could be wrong. I'm not saying that I would have thought that if that was the case, the man would have been somewhere near to PDD and Maduro. He would have been somewhere in that facility close to, near to PDD, Puff Daddy, and Maduro as a guest of the United States. But we can hear, well, you can't, again, you cannot depend on the government and them to tell you anything that is truthful. As I saw yesterday, when the media people brackle, and this is a consumer word, when the media people brackle the Minister of Home Affairs, she basically admitted that what's the thing about the visa revocation is what is in the media, and she know nothing more and so on. Right? That's what she said. Well, let me tell you this, coming back to what the vice president had said. The U.S. are going to give you information if they have investigation going on, because I get a strong suspicion that the U.S. is passing on nothing sensitive to the government. The U.S. will be aware that many of them are not trustworthy. Many of them and somebody says something, and the fact that he was turned back, maybe the investigation has not reached the stage for arrest, and that is another plausible explanation. So that is why, if at all he did travel, he was turned back. But I've said this source saying, and let me tell you something. These things are easy if they want to do a proper investigation. The fact that this man said that Caesar and his wife were booked to travel on American Airlines flight number 1512 at 7:30 yesterday morning, that can't be difficult to track down. The records are going to be there. Police ought to be in possession of the APS. That's what it is, the Advanced Information System. Right? The AIS or whatever, APIS, I think you used to call it. Can't remember it now. But they're going to be have access to that, to know all those who were booked on the flight to travel. They're going to know. Back in the day, I don't know if it still obtains now, if a police officer has to travel out of the country, he would have had to indicate to them, he would have had to seek permission to travel out of the country. So all of those things should be there. All of those things should be there, right? Now, to go on, before I bring in CC, we got to come back to this issue because there are other things that I want to talk about, right? First of all, I want to know what is the position with this senior officer who has had all of these allegations leveled against him. Well, allegations, and again, we say allegations, and he's not guilty of anything. Allegations are made, he's presumed innocent. But then one would expect a proper, credible investigation to unearth or to clear his name. If he's not guilty of anything, he should be the first to call for an independent, and I say independent, I ain't talking about CID, where he's a member, senior member. I'm not talking about SOKU, an independent. And since the U.S. have taken this interest to have him cancel his visa, maybe they would be the right persons to conduct an investigation. They will be the right persons to conduct an investigation into this controversial officer. And the controversy and start now, Some things I ain't gonna mention, But let it come and challenge me. Let it challenge me based on anything that I've said. And then I'm going to reveal what I have to reveal. By now you all recognize that Slow and Conway don't just come and run them out. By now you all recognize that. Slow and Conway don't just come and run them out. So you have a senior officer, very controversial. What is the position? And what anything in here? I understand from reliable sources that Caesar was recently in Caribbean island of St. Lucia, some course or something there. He was last week or week before, sometime recently, he was in the Caribbean island of St. Lucia on some course. So the question that was asked, was it that he was going from St. Lucia to the U.S.? Did he travel back to Guyana and then try to travel from Guyana to the U.S.? All of these are things that should be made. What is so difficult for them to tell the public about them things without any revealing anything that is confidential or so? What is so difficult, right? What is so difficult? And then, let me remind you all, apart from the allegations that I mentioned, there are allegations about properties and all this stuff. Now, this Susan Rodriguez, property and property. It has been alleged, again, allegation, that a certain senior police officer has a, what they call apartment building somewhere at East Bank, Essequibo, big building, East Bank, Essequibo, where apartments are rented to Venezuelans in particular for something like $5,000 a week or something like that. And here, what it is alleged. It is alleged that that building is out of bounds to immigration people and to all other law enforcement agencies. They can't go. They are told not to go there. They are told not to go there. So they can't go and check immigration status of these people or whether they are wanted for it. Can't go in the building. That is what is being said. That is what is being said. So we have a situation now in the Guyana Police Force where several senior officers are on the cloud. Let me start with the commissioner, Ikin. $8.5 million from businessman Amir Ahmad. That, I've said repeatedly, that is misconduct in office. And that is not an allegation against Ikin. Ikin wrote a statement, right? He wrote a statement in which he admits that he took $8.5 million from Amir Ahmad. And remember what was the vice president's reaction to that? You see, y'all, I'm going to keep reminding y'all about these things. You know. I'll keep reminding. Let me show y'all what was Vice President Jagdeo reaction to the allegation that Ikin took $8.5 million. Listen to it, listen.
And let me also make it clear here today that this government never sanctioned a policy where private individuals and businessmen could pay for the birthdays and weddings of policemen or other public officials. In fact, we think it's reprehensible. It's reprehensible. So that's all I'm going to say for today.
Yeah, it's reprehensible. Reprehensible. That was when 23rd, 23, the wedding was, or something then, reprehensible what happened? Promotion. So it came on the cloud. Senior Superintendent Imnat Shah, who was the regional commander, he's still a police of Region 1, when the 4.4 tons of cocaine was found. They transfer it, then they promote it to a different position, and then the U.S. clap a sanction money. He's still about. They said he put administrative leave. He's still about. We told you earlier about Assistant Commissioner Calvin Brutus. 252 criminal charges. Well, he dismissed the dismissee. We can see what's going to happen with the matter in court. I don't want to forget these things. You know. They got allegation recently surfaced that a senior officer, Big Smith said deputy commissioner, as they claim, blackmail a junior rank to be in a relationship. Right? And the Minister of Home Affairs, the current Minister of Home Affairs, says that if a senior rank, senior person of that rank, has a relationship, intimate relationship with a junior person, given the disparity in rank, the minister suggests that there is a violation of the Sexual Offences Act. And I wonder what happened to them. What happened to them? You got the next senior officer, senior superintendent, Krishnadat Brahmana, right? He is at Region 1 now. Region 1, Barima Waini Mabaruma, the cocaine capital of Guyana. Right? Arrested a lawyer for advising our client not to give a statement from the police. The lawyer sued the state and got judgment. And what happened? The man got promoted. Right? So Caesar got promoted when he think, right? He can get promoted. Ramana got promoted. I understand why Brutus vexed, because everybody got promoted and Brutus got dismissed. Right? Everybody got promoted following allegations, serious allegations against them. And Ramana got to Region 1 where he just not there now. About a month or two ago, allegations surfaced of fraud, massive fraud in the region involving the commander and others. SOCU, the Special Organized Crime Unit, went to the police finance office at headquarters to seize documents in furtherance of the investigation. They sent 3 investigators from Georgetown to Region 1, Mabaruma, to carry out this investigation. And the people, they were told to stand down. You know, we got some drill instructors here, or people who know what drill. As you were, stand down. There's what they're told. No investigation. No investigation. And there's only a couple I mentioned, you know. There's only a couple of them I've mentioned. So you have so many senior police officers with cloud over them. And this incompetent, corrupt government and doing nothing. They're going to tell you, well, there's a plan for the police service commission to deal with. We have nothing to do with that. Like how the president now saying, we have nothing to do with the convening of parliament to elect, or not convening of parliament, of the summoning of the meeting of the members of the opposition to elect a opposition leader. Oh, we have nothing to do with that. That is among the opposition people. To suggest that the opposition can call this meeting when Article 184 of the Constitution clearly puts the responsibility on the Speaker of the National Assembly. I get a feeling, I have a look into the crystal ball, because given statements made recently by the U.S. ambassador, right? Because, you know, they were trying to give the impression, nonetheless, that if Asadin Mohammed is elected as the leader of the opposition, the fact that he's sanctioned by the U.S., the fact that he has indictment in the U.S., and the fact that he's a subject of an extradition proceeding will be a stain on the parliament. Imagine Nandalal talking about stain on parliament. They got Kwame McCoy as a member of parliament. They got a man, the pandit from across the river, who is alleged to have sexually assaulted raped a 13-year-old girl, which led to her killing herself. The allegation is there. He's a member of parliament. They got this one, Alistair Charlie, who was charged with molesting some little by sexual assault and perverting the course of justice, which is alleged that he tried to pay, or he paid the grandmother some amount of money to cover up. Them a member of parliament, and them done causing a stain in the parliament. The Attorney General himself, who was charged with larceny of law books, he himself. The Attorney General who had the Caribbean Court of Justice come in, Justice Witt, who died, that he brought the CCJ into disrepute. Yeah, I remember them thing, and that is not a stain. But they say, oh, he's a stain, so that is why they're not appointing him. But we can recall that in recent times, over the past week, the British, the American, the Canadian, and the European Union have all come out to say that the process should move forward. Listen to what the U.S. ambassador had to say recently.
Most important is that your democracy functions. And I think in order for Parliament to do that and to represent the will of the people who elected this person, or who chose this person to have a significant number of seats, or chose his party, that they need to move forward with the election. It doesn't impact us in terms of legally, but if he is involved in certain aspects of government that we have to deal with, if it involves anything financial or contractual, then that might be a slight problem for us, but we just have to ask that someone else work on that issue. So for us, we can work around it. It complicates matters, but we can work around it. And I think what's more important is that Guyana moves forward with its parliament. I mean, I think they know exactly how we feel. We've said it publicly. All four of the ABCEU, for example, have said that we do feel it's important to go ahead and move forward with the election of the opposition leader. So I don't think we can be more clear than that when we say it publicly. It certainly gets to the right ears.
You hear that? You heard that, student? You heard that? So all of this, let me see what can happen now, though, you know. Let me see what is going to happen. The death of our democracy. They make all type of excuse not to convene this parliament to elect the leader. And don't forget that the president has sent out a clear signal that while everyone, perhaps, or most people are expecting that Asadin Mohammed will be sworn in, well, not sworn in, will be elected as the leader of the opposition, the president recently chose something different. Hear what the president said.
The opposition leader will be a he or she. You're assuming that the opposition leader will be a he. I think that's a very big assumption. There might be a view that the opposition leader might be a he, but I can't predict what will happen.
One way or another.
That's a vote.
You understand? You go around there? So we ask, are there Charandasis around? Are there Charandasis? Let me bring in CC for him to make his comment and comment on what we have said so far and do a